Hi, everybody. It's Alex Jarett with Technology Executives Club. I'm really happy to introduce one of our newest board of advisory members, Timothy Bartel. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Alex.
Nice to have you here, and thank you for joining the board. I'm so excited to have you involved.
I'm excited to be involved. It looks like a great opportunity to help others.
Yeah, well, I appreciate that. More guys like you and ladies that get involved, the better. It'd be great. So, what I want to do here, just for everybody, so they kind of get to know you a little. What we'll do is we'll talk a little about your background, then we'll get into, how you want to, the areas that you can help, and the kinds of people that backgrounds or that kind of thing that you want to help with. So let's just start with that. Tim Bartel, right now you're the CIO of Lakeshore Veins. That's kind of interesting because as I was talking, it's actually a family business, right?
Exactly. It's a business that my wife and I started about 7 years ago when she was stepping away from being a doctor in hospitals, and I was a global IT director at what is now Komatsu Mining. And we wanted to see if we could create something by ourselves that would allow us to get a little bit more flexibility with
Yeah.
our with family and moving on in life, and we've created a very successful business. Yeah, I do, as you can imagine, I've architected all the back office stuff, the systems we use, as well as from the financial side. I've handled all those arrangements, contracts, those types of things. Certainly, my wife being on the front side of the business and being the lead service provider.
Yeah.
We built a very successful business that's been really a joy to do. Obviously, this is probably for me the third time I've been involved with starting a business, and you learn a lot of lessons and a lot of things you got to power through, but it is very fulfilling at the end of the day. And a
That's
lot
great.
different than my early career where I worked with some of the biggest companies in the country.
Well, let's talk about that, and we'll come back to the some of the lessons learned. But let's talk about that for a second because I'm looking at your background. My goodness, you were global director of business process optimization at Joy Global. You were IT director of global applications at Komatsu Mining. How cool was that? And you were a partner at a firm called Clarkson, which looks like an SAP shop. And then before that, you were at Dow Chemical as a systems analyst and engineer. So is your core background architecture, engineering, coding, or what are the like? How would you sort of describe your core couple areas of expertise?
Actually, you might find this funny, Alex, but I really think of myself as a business person first.
Yeah,
Grew up on a family farm, which we turned into a successful small business. I went to UW-Madison School of Business, where I graduated
I
with
saw
a
that. Yeah,
major in accounting as well as information systems. And with that business and technology degree jointly in hand, I actually went to work for Dow, working on accounting systems. But I was lucky in that I got involved in one of the first ERP implementations in North America.
wow.
And we really learned a ton of lessons. And for me, you know, I've always looked at problems as just opportunities with work close on,
Uh,
from when I was born. And when we went on that roadmap to totally do what today is called digital transformation, then it was
yeah,
really business reengineering.
yeah,
And the things that we learned and saw how you could take changes in technology and really move a business forward, that then pushed me to go back to school to get my master's in business with an emphasis in strategic quality management. From there, with others who worked on that Dow project, we formed Clarkson Consulting. So a brand new business, we grew from the ground up, which today is a very vibrant national management consulting firm. And then, as you noted, I moved on when we started, growing our family, and the travel became just a
yeah,
lot.
yeah.
I accepted a position at Joy Global with a number of different opportunities there. Joy Global actually was a big mining equipment manufacturer,
Okay.
about a $5 billion company that about 4 years ago was acquired by Komatsu.
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
So at Joy Global, I was doing consulting work to help them implement ERP system.
yeah,
They then realized that they needed a whole new organization to run this global ERP system they never had before. They hired me as their first SAP director. My job then grew when they certainly saw the capability I brought to, understand and drive the business.
Mm-hmm.
to that role you mentioned as being Director of Business Process Optimization, which was a fascinating role. And then as we were being acquired with Komatsu, I was in charge then of all of Joy's global IT applications. So I had an organization of over 100 people on all 6 continents
Wow.
as we were growing businesses, divesting businesses, and obviously also working to be acquired by Komatsu. I was one of the lead individuals in working with Komatsu to help them understand our business and then how it fit into the whole Komatsu family of businesses. For those who may not know Komatsu, it's actually a $26 billion, very diversified global firm, which most people know the construction side, but they were really building out the mining equipment side as well.
You know, I think they used to have a building near me where I used to live, and I used to always think that was the coolest name and everything. But they, you know, I looked them up once, but they're into all kinds of stuff, you know, so very cool company. Well, that's really so, you know, what's interesting because, you know, we made a point, even though, you know, which you should be proud of. I mean, Lakeshore Veins is a huge success. I know that from talking to you, but you have a deep background. It sounds like your wife did too, so that explains why you all were able to be so successful and do that. So let's talk about, you know, you're actually planning on doing some other work. You're starting to consult and do some stuff on the side. Tell me about that a little for everybody that's watching this.
Yep, that's correct, Alex. Yeah, certainly we've gotten our Lakeshore Veins business to a point where it's very stable. We're happy with it, but it's allowed me to be able to do some of the things that I used to do as well, more with the IT strategy side. It's certainly one of the strengths that back in my consulting days and even with Joy Global, because we were always acquiring companies and sometimes divesting companies, and in a constant mode of change, I really enjoyed being able to work with my business counterparts, mostly at the VP level, take our strategies, figure out how we could enable technology. Sometimes it was more technology, sometimes it was just organizational change. And I'm looking to not only be able to help other folks who may want that type of expertise, but simply mentor others who are going through that process of their business is growing, they've just bought a company, or their business is shrinking some and they need to understand how to realign with the changes in business. I've developed a lot of expertise in working through those situations, and it'd be great to mentor folks through that.
That's awesome. Well, we're going to get to the mentorship part in a minute, but I want to ask you, so I'm this potential company you're going to help. Are you talking to the CIO or the CEO, all the COO, all the above? And so what are they coming to you and saying, Tim, I got this problem? What is this problem that they're saying to you? Like, what are you helping them solve? Because I hear strategy, I'm like, okay, I'll do that. I'll be a strategic guy. But what's the problem that you're actually trying to solve? Help me out with that one.
Sure. A lot of times, especially with my areas of expertise, it'll boil down to what type of systems, what type of, and when I say infrastructure, I'm talking very broad. I'm not really talking networks, email, cloud, that type of thing. What I'm really talking about is what type of overall IT architecture will help the business move forward, whether it is in a situation where somebody is being merged, it's a situation where somebody's just acquired another business, or there might be one part of the business that's growing and one part that's shrinking, and they have a multitude of systems and they're trying to figure out what can we consolidate, what makes sense maybe not to consolidate, what makes sense possibly to still keep on premise, especially if it's an older business, what makes sense, can we truly migrate to the cloud in a cost-effective manner that's still efficient? So a lot of it can boil down to what's the appropriate architecture in the future, you know, depending upon the business, where it's going. Are they still keeping engineering in-house, or are they outsourcing it more? Are they looking to keep their back office systems where they are, and the back office organization? You're probably well aware a lot of companies today are looking to outsource where it's not their strategic capability. If a company realizes, you know, I'm a marketing distribution firm, I'm probably not the best at doing accounting, at doing it payroll, doing it HR. Maybe I should outsource some of that. Well, when you make that decision, not only does it have a big organizational component, it has a big IT component because your systems may not be architected to meet where that business is trying to move.
Well, that's great. I mean, I can see, I mean, we've had just in the last year, I've had a number of peer advisory members. I think we had a call for help even last 2 weeks ago. I think you replied to it, where we have
Correct.
someone going through a merger, and this CIO really didn't have any experience. It's a mid-sized company, very successful mid-sized company, but he had really no experience doing mergers. And so I know that we put you in touch with him. I don't know if you all had a chance to speak yet. He was going to get back to a couple different people, but I could see how that expertise could be really helpful to someone who hasn't been through that as well. Now, when you talk about architecture, you're not just talking about tech stack, you're talking about business process also, I imagine, right?
Exactly. That's really at the heart of it. You have to understand where the business process may be changing or disappearing or morphing, where it may be able to take advantage of, RBA, robotic process automation.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of, acronyms I could throw around that we'd want to make sure that people understood. But basically, how is the business changing and adapting to how industries are changing? Obviously, technology is changing at a very rapid rate, but so are many industries. If you look at what's going on with supply chain companies these days and distribution, what manufacturing companies, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, it was all about where could I offshore to find the lowest cost manufacturing. A lot of it moved to Asia. Now a lot of it's back to reshoring, onshoring, or nearshoring. And what impacts those are having with anybody who manufactures healthcare. My gosh, is the changes going on in healthcare fairly tremendous. And those things, have major impacts on organization, major impacts on process, major impacts on that whole technology stack.
So yeah, you mentioned something we just came up with in our peer advisory meeting a couple of weeks ago. They mentioned the move back to near shore and onshore as a solution to the difficulty they're having hiring people right now. And so I think you're right on target. So let's get into the mentoring areas, the industries that you like to work in. Obviously, you can work with anybody, but sort of your areas of expertise. Go ahead.
Certainly. Well, certainly manufacturing is a big strength of mine. Whether it's manufacturing for equipment, for pharmaceuticals, medical device, any type of consumer products or life sciences. The two general industry areas would be that whole medical life sciences space or the consumer product space tied to manufacturing or heavy equipment manufacturing. In my consulting world, before I worked with Joy Global, I worked almost exclusively with either consumer products companies or with med device. I worked with probably 6 of the 10 largest pharmaceuticals that were based in the US through my consulting career. Worked for, did some work with GE Healthcare right here where I'm based in Milwaukee. So those areas in particular, I have just a lot of experience and strength and just understanding those industries and some of the drivers and what they tend to be behind the scenes.
All right, so let me just read these areas of focus and then we'll get into the mentoring. So global organization, ERP management, transformational program management, change management, and process improvement. Does that about cover big bullets?
Yeah, that's a good list.
It's a great list. My expertise in these areas is reading about them. So reading your bullets. Let's get into the mentoring area because you were one of the first board of advisors members to talk to me about mentoring. What's the appeal to you in terms of mentoring other people?
Certainly to me, the biggest appeal is seeing other people grow. This started when we grew our consulting firm and when I got to lead not only our change management practice, but our ERP practice, and being able to give other folks guidance, direction, and see those folks grow to be good project managers, then go to be good managers, directors. Just to see that career develop to me has always been very fulfilling. And I've had a chance to do it both on the consulting side as we grew I was the third employee in Clarkston. When I left, we had 260. And on the Joy side, I first took over a department that had about 40 people. When I left, I had about 100. Several people were people we actually hired when I created an intern program that were becoming supervisors and managers. it's just very fulfilling to be able to give people guidance, direction, and see them grow. So part of my whole drive to mentor is just purely to get to know other people who are progressing in their careers, provide them advice, and see how they run with it. It's just very fulfilling.
That's cool. Well, I can't wait to see how it works out. I mean, we're really excited to have you on the board of advisors, and you did choose in your board of advisors roles to be one of our mentors to other folks. And as we help launch this program, really, we're at the stage of launching it. So we're excited to see, how this thing goes and who we can help, right?
Exactly. Looking forward to it.
Yeah, likewise. Well, Tim, thank you so much for this time today. And let me ask you one last question, parting words of wisdom. If you've got that new leader that's coming out and maybe he or she just got a bunch of people now reporting to them, what's the first move that you recommend in terms of a leadership kind of because you've done this multiple times now, what's sort of the first couple moves that you recommend for these folks?
Definitely. Certainly the first thing I would do, it's kind of a two-pronged approach.
Yeah.
One, ensure that the people that put you in the position that you are, make sure you understand what's driving them.
Mm-hmm.
That could be if you're reporting into a CIO, or if you're a newly minted CIO and you're reporting up to the CEO or the CFO, what's really driving the business, as well as what are driving those individuals that you have to report up to or report across. When you move up in an organization, not only is it important to understand the people you're reporting to, but they're matrix leaders as well.
Mm-hmm.
The second thing, and tied closely to that, is you really need to understand what are the capabilities within the people within your organization. The last thing you want to do is overpromise and underdeliver. You really want to do the opposite. But the only way you can do the opposite is to ensure that you understand your own organization's capabilities. So you really have to get to know those people. What are their strengths and how can you build off of them? What are their weaknesses and how can you make sure you don't put them in a position where those weaknesses get in the way of what you need to accomplish?
Mm-hmm.
So that's really the first thing I'd recommend anybody do when they move up or get a broader or new position, is get to know the organization, get to know the people around you, build those relationships.
That's great advice. And for those of you who are just starting out, or even if you just are already in a position, you haven't done this before, take these steps. And Tim, thank you so much. Thanks again for being on the board of advisors and being part of our community.
Great. My pleasure, Alex. Thank you.